job.
Oh, that's awesome. So, pretty well everybody up there I think knows who I am, Laura Burns. I have zero tie.
Over it, we figured that is the best.
Oh, well, I don't care. if
Right
the
by
people
that
outside of
pole.
here can hear
Okay,
me.
all right.
As long as you can, that's all.
Okay, all right, well, sorry.
So anyway, what we would like to, the reason I'm here is we would like to develop a bass fishing club that is open to the students of our area. We want to do that under the Camdenton Lakers name with the Camdenton Lakers logo. And in order to do that, we have to have permission from the school. And we'd also like to be able to use the school, maybe the high school commons area to have meetings. Nothing major, we don't want to do it whenever it's going to be inconvenient, but just so that we had a place where everybody could meet as a team. I'm sorry if I'm driving you nuts behind you. Anyhow, I have brought with me to the meeting Mr. J.P. Sell. He is the president of the National Youth Fishing Association, which would be the association that we would be joining. And so he's got a plethora of information. He wrote the rules, he wrote the book on it, so he knows. So any questions that you all would have now would be a great time to be able to ask him. But basically what I'm looking for is permission to be able to use the commons area. We're opening this up, I think it's grades 4 through 12 we can have. I've had all kinds of people reach out to me with information that they want to come on board and help, because it is going to take a community to be able to do this. It's going to take, people with boats. The school's not going to have to buy anything. There's some fees that we're going to have to get together, but I think being the lake area, we've got enough lake businesses that will be able to help these kids out. It's really what I consider minor fees. You're talking $60 memberships, I believe, and $40 entry fees for tournaments. So for years, the championship tournament was here at the Lake of the Ozarks. Unfortunately, this is the first year they've moved it to Truman, but it will be coming back to Lake of the Ozarks. So, I mean, it'd be great to be able to put a Camdenton team in the same area, tournaments. We are going to have to travel a little bit, but again, it's a club. We're looking, parents will have to get their kids there. So the school's not really going to have to provide anything. Just we'd like to be able to use the logo to put on the shirts and the name, colors, and a meeting facility if we can. So I'd like to allow JP to be able to have the floor to speak about it, and any questions that you guys might have that he's going to have knowledge on more than myself at this point in time. So, yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
Apparently you can stand here, the parents at home can hear you.
Sounds good.
The camera
Well,
too.
I'm pretty vocal anyway, so we have some flyers that we kind of sent out. I'm sure, has everyone received one, or has there been, may I set this here for a second? Who has not got one?
I think when all the board members, these guys might not have one.
Okay. And hand these out here if you don't mind real quick. I know times of everything here.
We all
have it.
Y'all have one? Here you go. You bet. Oh, my God.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry. There you go.
I'm sorry.
There you go, sir. Go ahead. Okay. Well, she did a great job explaining. My name is J.P. Sell, and I'm the director for the National Youth Fishing Association. Our program's been involved for a little over 7 years. I've been in the fishing industry for over 30 years, believe it or not. Fished my whole life. Between horses and fishing, that's what I've done forever. Basically, our program, we're a full non-for-profit program. We do things a lot different than what some of the larger fishing programs do in the different areas that's more regional status. With our non-for-profit, our main goal is to help a child continue their education through the sport of bass fishing. It's also a lot more than just that. It's not just their education, it's also to help them get a job, to get a career. So our scholarships that you see right there, we're budgeted to give away or award over $70,000 just this year in scholarships. We also have a lot of other colleges that watch our program, like Drury University, McKendree University, Bethel University, Wabash, Murray State, MSU, Columbia. A lot of the schools they pull kids out of our program so they can continue the fishing while they're in college as well. Drury awarded over $250,000 to several students just this year for going to their school. Now, if they're a brainiac and you got an academic scholarship, that will trump a lot of your fishing, but it's still all the point we get the kids in the schools to keep them fishing.
Two of those kids at Drury are for Lebanon, so.
Oh, yes,
Pretty
they
low.
are. Yep, Cold Reading and,
I can't remember the other one's name.
So, but yes. Other things that we do with our scholarships is that I'm a big advocate for trade school. I served in the propane industry for over 28 years, retired from the propane, owned my own companies for over 10 and sold them. And today, we don't have enough children in the trade school industry. If you want to be a concrete worker or finish concrete, you can write your own paycheck, is really what it is. We need electric people, we need heating people, contractors, everything. So, with these scholarships, if a child ends up receiving a scholarship from us, and not every child, unfortunately, is programmed to be in an academic school, a four-year school. That's just realistic. But they are able to do trade schools, or can help them. So we've bought journeyman tools, lineman tools, boots. I can't tell you how many TIG rigs we bought this year for welding. Computers, truck driving schools. We even supported a scuba diving class for a young man. The young man, his whole family welds. He comes up to me. He had a $1,200 scholarship that he accumulated through the years with our program. And he says, JP, he goes, I'm going to be a welder, but I'm not going to be a welder in a factory. My whole family welds in factories. And I was like, okay, so what do you want to do? He goes, well, I'm wanting to be an underwater scuba welder. And with the A+ program, and if you guys are all part of it, I don't know if they have, I'm sure they do around here. Guys, I can't stress how important an A+ program. Nobody gives a rat's in college on your first 2 years. Get your basics, all your eds out of your way, then start focusing on your deal. But some of the children, back to the welding, ended up using that, going through, getting their welding certificate. I believe at OTC is where he was going. We did a dive ventures thing where he got a scuba classes certificate. When he moved, I believe, to Galveston, Texas, he was already a year ahead of everybody, and he's making over $200+ an hour right now doing that. So he was able to use his scholarship to apply with that. Something else that we had here, I know there's a lot of information, I don't want to take all your guys' time, is that we are the only youth fishing program that has a military appreciation scholarship. So what's that mean is that we had children at one time about 3 years ago that wasn't competing with it in our program. And I asked, why aren't you fishing? And they said, well, we're going to go into the military. And I was like, okay, because we'll get our education all paid through our GI Bill and all that. And I said, well, okay. So we went to the board and presented everything. I'll tell a little bit about that here in a minute. And so what we all voted unanimous on, that if any child that is fishing in our program receives a scholarship and they go and enlist in the military and they complete their basic training, get their service ID papers and their completion, that is the only time we'll ever write a child a check on top of that. The other part of it is of our scholarships they can use it for secondary education. So somehow, I guess, and you guys may be able to correct me better than that, but if you guys pay for it, you get like double credit. But if the parents pay for the classes at the college, they get college credit hours of some sort. So anyways, they can use those scholarships if they win that to go ahead and apply and help pay for that. A little bit about how our operations work. We have an operation board and we have a scholarship board. So any of the monies that ever get put in our scholarship account never gets moved. It's assigned to that child until he graduates, or he or she. We got several ladies that are competing right now. They have 1 year, which would be, say, they graduate this year, so they'd be June 1st of 2023, I guess it would be, to decide what they're going to do with their future. Either what they're going to work, they're going to go to school, or anything. And if they choose not to do that, then those scholarships roll back to another child for other scholarships. Since we're a non-for-profit, people say, well, what happens if JP Sale decides to stroke off and die or whatever? Well, our attorneys is Lowther Johnson out of Springfield, Missouri. They're very reputable. They represent several schools and doing that. They have instructions and everything. Those monies are governed by them and protected to make sure all those monies get issued out to the children. And then there's other guidelines in the event if that child doesn't go on to school or anything. So it's all protected with that. Our program, we started out, we're going over 7 years now, around 30 to 40 teams that we had competing. Today, our largest event that we had last May was 365 teams of high school and junior high kids. And since today, since the beginning, we've awarded over $675,000 in scholarships that they do, and that's not even including the jury scholarships. We advertised 70,000 because we already have that banked to do, but by the time the day is over with the other scholarships and everything, we average around that 250, 300,000 jury with the extra 200,000. That really puts us over, but we don't want to advertise all that because I don't like giving one college complete kudos over everything when we have so many others that goes in there. So I know that was a lot basically on that. The reason why I show up at the board meetings, we built this program where it's no different than if you wanted to take a traveling basketball team or a traveling baseball team to go and compete wherever you want to go. Like in Springfield up there, you know, we have the field house. We used to have the courts, but now I think it's a volleyball deal now. So, you know, you could assign your own team, build your own team and go represent your Lakers, right? Here, is that right?
Mhm.
So you could go and assign to become your own Lakers and do a traveling basketball team. It's the same way with fishing. You know, we want to take the liability out of the schools. We have our own insurance that covers our events, but also the insurance requires to fall onto the boaters as well because they're the one boating them. The minimum insurance for the boaters is $100,000. It's no different than anyone fishing any kind of tournament on anywhere around here, and being from Camdenton and the Lake Ozark area, those people that fish understands how that all works and so forth on that. So that's how we do. We just do it out of respect to the school because, one, they want to use your logos. Two, we want you guys involved in it and a part of it. But does it cost you guys anything? Not with us or anything. All schools are different. Like Rogersville, I'm the coach at Rogersville School for our fishing team. The school doesn't support us on any of that, but we get to have our meetings in our commons area. We do fundraisers to help with expenses. You know, it's a $60 membership, but the kids get a welcome bag that equals over that $60. And then the entry fees, the team pop fees is $40 per team. We keep it very reasonable. And at the end of the year, all those monies go right back to the kids, you know, through draw scholarships. We do education questions over the lakes that we're fishing and the habitat, and they can turn in an essay. We have 3 sentences or 3 pages, whatever it is, just make an effort. And I want a correct answer, of course, but I mean, it's all about the education and helping them on that. So I know that was a lot just in such a short period. Does any of you guys have some questions? Because I would love to answer anything that you guys have.
So where I see here, like Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas lakes, but what states are in your National Youth Fishing
So
Association?
we have like 10 states that are involved in our program that travel to us. We have Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Arkansas. I can't remember them all. I should have brought my other deal.
So there's more, but and kind of surrounding Missouri.
Yes, and they
Okay.
travel to us
Okay.
on there, and that's why we do it on more of the weekends. We have 2 different divisions. We have a PTA division where the boaters get to fish with the kids on a Saturday, and it's because we can be like drill sergeants in there and just tell them, hey, throw at that log of bait over and over and over. But my goodness, until you actually can get on there and start showing them about why are you throwing at that log and teaching them how to do that, I mean, it's kind of like beating a dead horse, really, on some of that and so forth. But yeah, that's you know, we're big on the fish preservation, our conservation area. I mean, I work a lot with our conservation groups and all that, and directly through Bass Pro and their heritage foundations and so forth. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
Okay. And another question, and maybe not so much for you, but Misha has a bass fishing club. I believe we used to have that club. Do we still have it?
We do, I don't, it's not extremely active, but.
We
Okay.
have 2 students,
Okay.
students right now that have, basically it's 2-person team.
Okay.
We also had a bass fishing club,
Right.
that was different than the Misha deal where they weren't competition. They were more like instruction after school in the classroom on different things. So, you know, frankly, just me, this fits right in with
Okay.
other organizations that are meeting at school. This is easy.
So this, I mean, but
So
This
here-
doesn't preclude us from being Misha. Whatever
So
we're
I'm-
doing with Misha, we can do that and we can do this. Okay.
So with Misha, no disrespect on
Yeah,
the Misha
no.
folks or anything, but,
Yeah.
we wanna leave it as an activity,
Okay.
pretty much, you know, where it isn't sanctioned. And there's reason for that, because the gifts that we give these children and the gift cards and, Lincoln's, Kevin Smith, he is gonna be the president of the Misha organization this year, I think it is. I think it's Kevin Smith, I can't remember. Me and him's real good friends, but anyway, if it becomes a full sanctioned sport, then the children are only allowed to receive like $250 worth of items or cash monetaries or whatever. I give a rod and reel away these competitions, we're over $200 to $300 rod and reel, and that is no disrespect, but that is the last thing we wanna do whenever we're doing that. So that's why we leave it as an activity in the club where it all's there, because heavens forbid, this program, it ain't about that. Golly, wouldn't you feel terrible? I mean, you guys know the bylaws and that, but from the meetings that I was at with Misha, if a child goes in and receives over that, and you're able to put a jeopardy of an academic scholarship or anything like that, I would hate that, and so forth. That's why we stay as an activity, because some schools click it in, and the reason why they click it in is if they want to have a teacher as a coach for them, so they can receive a stipend or anything like that. There's a lot of different things.
But can the current students that do the Misha, can they do both?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yes. And then we also allow, no disrespect, this is there. You'd be surprised how many homeschool children we have in the state of Missouri. I'm not so sure if Missouri and Ohio aren't probably two of the largest states for homeschool children. And we have a lot of homeschool kids that come and participate as well.
So a follow-up on that question, we do have children in the area that are at different schools that would like to be a part of this. Is there anything preventing that?
There is not.
Okay.
There is not.
And do we have anything preventing that?
We wouldn't, this would be like any
We-
other
I mean,
outside
we-
organization.
Okay.
Honestly, we currently have
Well, I know some
almost
Osage and
every
Mexico.
other sport. We have local kids, you know, we have a team of 90% of them are from Camdenton, you know, they're actually allowed to use our Lakers namesake, you know, some of them are from, a couple of kids from Max Creek, a couple of kids from
Oh,
Lebanon,
we
you
have
know.
other clubs like that?
But yeah, and they're not technically affiliated with the school, they're allowed to use school facilities for practice and things like that.
Okay, so.
But we
We're
don't fund it, we
specifically
don't.
wanting to use the Laker logo, so that's more, my biggest part, the biggest thing that I'm looking for to walk away from here is that, yes, you can use our Camdenton Laker logo, because a lot of these things that are going on outside of here where, you know, you got the little hogs that are little Lakers, they're not using the Laker logo. And we want to be Camdenton Lakers when we go somewhere. And, you know, like with the kids that are outside the area, which I do have a couple of parents that have kids from another school that have asked, and my thing is you gotta be proud to wear the Laker colors if you're from another school, and you have to represent what we stand for.
And if you're really good, you may have to move
You may
here.
have to transfer, I mean, but at this point in time, I mean, basically, we wanted to have an activity, but I'm
So
looking
we'll have
for,
to set up some boundaries for
not
that.
looking for any monetary, anything from the school other than just the permission to use the logo and the commentary for a gathering place.
And then your group would decide, like, how far, what's the boundary for what districts? It could be any district in Missouri if that kid wants to be a Laker, or? how?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
If they wanna drive, and probably Lake, that's fine.
For sure, absolutely. As long as the coach is all good. I mean, I don't want kids just show up out of the blue and say,
Right.
I'm a Camdenton Laker. Oh, that's wonderful. And then
Well-
she don't even know who the Camdenton Laker is or whoever your coach is. That would be
How
complicated,
many
but
do you have in our area?
What's that?
How many other clubs do you have in the, I don't know, estimated?
Central Missouri.
Lebanon
area.
has a team, Lebanon has a club,
Okay.
Stoutland has a club.
yeah, we have Lebanon, Stoutland, Buffalo, all the Springfield schools have clubs that participate with us. Rogersville, Nixa, Ozark, Parkview, or not Parkview, but Ozark, Nixa, Highlandville, they have a junior deal, and then we have Spokane, then the Branson team, and then we have Hollister, and then we have Lincoln, and then we have We have over 150 schools that compete, I just can't remember them
But
all.
the closest to us is gonna be Lebanon. and
Marshfield
It
does.
just it's just, I'm sure, nice for people to hear that, you know, this is already operating in many areas.
Oh, yes,
And
most
so
definitely.
The platform, you know, is already there. And so you guys would start, you know, working on this in February potentially, or when?
Well, our season starts in March,
Yeah.
is what it does, but a lot of the schools are just now starting to meet, and I bet, I couldn't tell you how many schools I've actually been visiting over board meetings from the Thanksgiving break up till now, and there's a lot of new schools, you know, Fatima, that was new, Dixon has one in Fatima, I don't know how far Fatima is, but I went there and they had 39 kids.
Oh, wow.
That was amazing how many kids they have. Now, I went to one school, Rogersville's one of them, we went in there and said, oh, we're gonna have a fishing deal. We had 200 kids walked in there. I'm like, holy moly. You know, and then when they realized that they weren't gonna get out of school, that dropped
Oh,
off
they thought
real
it was
quick.
fishing
And so,
When you say use our logo, what are you talking about? Just our sailboat?
You just
What's our logo? To you, what's our logo?
Well, I mean, it's, when it comes to the Lakers, it's multiple different things, but whenever we put it out there as being Camdenton Lakers, we want it to be, you know, that you're a part of the Camdenton district, that you're an actual Laker. I mean, I guess I didn't have to ask permission necessarily to use that, but I think it's the common courtesy, and a lot of schools do.
Sure.
Basically,
Could
just,
and a lot of logos are trademarked anyway.
Yeah,
And
and
so
I'm
I
not
don't
sure if
know.
ours is or not, but I mean, you know, the.
Could you do a drawing for us maybe and present it, you know, send it in, what you think the logo would look like?
yeah, you know, basically,
Yeah, or the wave,
wanted to
see,
put-
that's the
I mean,
wave.
is what I was thinking.
put
so
that
Oh,
on
okay.
a
it's
jersey.
just kinda
Okay.
in general.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we use a sailboat, we use various
Yeah,
things, so
that
I was
right
just
there is
curious.
what I was thinking of.
Oh,
Kind of
okay.
give an example, I believe it's
That looks-
Central, this has
Can
been
we put a
several
fish
years
on
ago,
that?
but they're called the Central Bulldogs. And what ended up happening was that their bulldog was the same bulldog as some other college somewhere else. And they
Every
actually got a
other
letter from
bulldog.
an attorney telling them they had to change their bulldog by, I think it's like 20%, because they had their logo, so they just had to change the color of the collar or something, and it was silly.
And
So-
then you need a space for meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily say that I have to, it's just nice that if it's a school, you know, if we're trying to have a, bunch of school kids together, it would be easy location for everybody to say, hey, we're gonna meet at the high school, you know. The reason why I say the high school commons is because it's open, and usually the doors are open, and you don't have to necessarily have to worry about whether or not you have somebody there, because it seems to me like everybody's always there, it's either basketball practice or wrestling practice, and we're not gonna take up anybody's space.
Right.
You know, if something else is going on, we'll kick it out and do it somewhere else.
Okay. So what technical commission do we need to vote on today?
I mean, the board could always vote on this, but we've got multiple other entities doing, I mean, meeting at school, people just, it was nice to ask to use the logo, but we got people using it that don't ask, so, I mean, theoretically, you could vote, but we're already doing this with other folks and would be happy to accommodate.
Okay. So
There's
we
no,
need to take board action.
It's just courtesy.
No potential
Yeah, courtesy and permission is what I'm looking for. I'm not-
conflicts
I'm
of
not-
interest, anything?
Yeah.
Just
Any,
take advantage.
any conflicts of interest that you can think of?
No, probably all we would need is really, you know, to get your meeting dates on our calendar, have you fill out, you know, the facility requests of rental stuff, with it being a not-for-profit, you know, those fees would be waived. It's not like you're gonna need custodial services, that's
No.
easy.
Just, I guess, but maybe, you know, issuing flyers or emails, I'm not real sure to be able to get the word out. and
Easy
we
to
can
do.
run from there.
Yeah, that just comes all through our office.
Yeah. the
Uh,
central
you can
office
send
would
it to me.
for you.
Be happy to help. I just need that, your certificate of insurance, your proof of insurance to run it through. Pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah, just get with the facilities coordinator and, you know, as far as timing and what areas you wanna use, and she'll take care of you. She'll get it done.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Yes, appreciate it.
Built a pretty big club, it sounds like.
So. and,
It's good
yeah,
times. It is. So,
Like Dr. Hadfield said, there,
yes,
I
ma'am.
don't know
Will you
that
give
we
one
have
of those flyers
trademarked
to our high school
logos.
principal?
I sure
Brett?
will. Love to do that.
But there's lots of people doing it for, like I said, volleyball, baseball, football, I mean, tons of youth organizations that are affiliated with the school that are using the name and the logo
And
and,
Alan,
you know,
oh, yeah.
working with Deed at Rent Field Space.
Alan, you might want one too.
Okay.
It's not
Mr.
unprecedented.
Schwantes, do you want one?
And, so I don't know that we really need to take action other than just asking if anyone is opposed to it.
Yeah,
Anyone?
I'm not opposed. I mean, we're
Okay.
one of the largest lakes in the Missouri, of course. Why don't we have a fishing team?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to find a lake for these kids to fish on.
You'd be surprised how many people will go to the ponds and practicing, and you know, a lot of areas like the commons, like in Rogersville, we'll end up practicing, there in the commons area, you know, like we'll bring poles and we have rubber plugs and we'll just practice
Yeah,
casting.
I might
and
know,
all
I
that
might know a guy that could,
Just kidding.
find a place for them to fish.
There's a lot
Maybe.
of, captains and pros and retired people and guides that have expressed interest, which you probably already know that, but.
You will not have any issues trying to find boats. That's another big thing. You know, a lot of people, you're gonna hear a lot of scuttlebutt out there, and I've heard it all, that, oh my gosh, how in the heck are we gonna buy all these bass boats for the school? Well, you don't do that. You know, like you said, you have family, friends of friends, that all know someone that may have a boat that can captain. And we do ask for a background check on our boat captains. It's just kind of the standard. I used to direct the Mighty Mites for about 13 years, and it's the same type of background, just a kind of a name, because there's no sense of going into the fingerprint or the blood or the whatever, you know, the others, because 90% of all the children is it's their family or friends of family or somebody that's their boat captains. And so-
Didn't you guys just approve a maintenance facility building over here we could put some boats in?
No,
I'm just kidding.
That's so funny.
I'm thinking about it.
Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
My number is on these flyers, and if you guys ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to holler. I'll be most happy to try to help all I can, and thank you for letting me have time to visit with you folks.
No,
Thanks for, hey,
taking
and thank
the
you
trip.
for all the work you put into this.
Oh,
To
thank
put
you.
this together, both you guys.
Appreciate it.
Yep, team effort.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
guys.
Safe day, guys.